call the Board of Works meeting to order. Phyllis, we have roll call, please.
Craig Koshaw.
Here.
Bill Carbach. Here. Ken Meyer.
Here. You're emailed a copy of our minutes from our April 2nd meeting. If you've had a chance to review those minutes, I'd look for a motion to either approve or amend.
Motion to approve. I second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our April meeting. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Various belt marks all over. Kevin, I think we'll do the Kokosing contract thing first. Turn that microphone on.
Yeah, Phyllis has the copies of the contracts with Kokosing for the new water plant out on 600. They gave you all the maximum price that Kokosing came back with, just over $7.2 million. 7,247,389. $7,247,389. If you remember, we chose Bowen for the project, and there was more of a communication issue than anything, and they came back with a price that wasn't very acceptable, so then we turned to Kokosing, and their price is about $500,000 cheaper, so I think it was a good move. And the whole process with Kokosing has been a lot smoother, more communication, more.
Okay. Well, tell us, for the record here, what we're getting for our money.
This
I think there were some things, if I'm not mistaken, that were taken out, and
with the Bowen quote, there was the Bowen came in, I think, just under 7.8 million, and that just did not include paving of the driveways and the parking lot, and had a few other things taken out of it. This price with Kokosing has all that included. The only thing we took out of the project was the maintenance building and the well houses that we're going to have a local contractor do. But yeah, so we got more in the project with Kokosing for less money.
okay.
And there was also some valve work on the Pickway water tower that wasn't included in Bowen's price. That you can see it there. Number 2 is almost $50,000 worth of work that wasn't included in the original quote either.
Craig, Bill, questions on your end? Tim?
These items that Kokosing took out, so are we going to do some of these ourselves, Kevin, as far as the driveways and that type of thing, or?
Some of these exceptions?
Yeah.
They're going to do the drive and the parking lot. They're going to pave that. Some of those in there, if you take that out of there, it would save $130,000. Are you on the third page?
Yeah, it says Kokosing has not included any tree clearing. Are they not included any costs for state and local permits and easements?
Mm-hmm.
We are doing this ourselves? Is that what, I guess that's my question.
As far as permits go?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Midwestern helps with that too. They
So
file all
some of
sorts
these things that they're taking out, we can go ahead and do
Yep.
in-house?
Yeah, and that's part of Midwestern's contract too, is to handle the permitting.
Okay.
Are you reading that on page 2, right, with the long list of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your page 2 start with the number 5 at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's missing a page out of it. It
Oh.
appears like the photocopy didn't get those first couple.
No,
Well,
the first four on
first
the bottom.
page has 1, 2, 3, 4 on it.
Okay, I'm sorry, my fault.
And with the coasting, we were able to make some different changes to the layout of the plant too. They wrote some good points about having one slab rather than different levels and different things that save costs along the way too. So far, everything with coasting has been night and day difference compared to Bellum, so.
So, if this gets approved this evening, then what?
There's a little bit of design left, finish work, and then hopefully break ground by mid-June is optimal.
Kevin, did they say that they were going to have contracts available?
Yeah, Phillips has
Okay.
2 of them.
So basically, if the board were inclined, they could approve this and then authorize the execution of the contract?
Correct. And Todd from Coasting has already signed the contract and had it notarized.
And I looked it over, I've reviewed it, it's consistent, it's similar to the contract that we had negotiated with them on the clarifier project out at the wastewater treatment plant. It has basically the same language, it's just a different scope of work, so I'm fine with that. If you want to read it, it's about 100 pages with the general conditions.
Did you read it all?
I did?
And billed us for every minute of it.
I did? It's not an easy read.
Kind of like our ordinance. Well,
So, on the third page where it says proposed and optional cost reductions, adds for consideration. So were some of those things originally in, like for example, the masonry of all houses, obviously?
That was, on their original price, they had quoted wood-framed, vinyl siding well houses. And they said, so you could upgrade it to masonry for $35,000. That, we had them take that out of their
Okay.
price.
And we're going to go with like little pole barns?
Yep.
Yeah. On the well houses?
Yeah, metal buildings, metal roof.
And then the stone access drives,
We already have those.
We already have
in place,
those?
yeah.
Stone drive around the water treatment facility rather than asphalt paving?
That would save $130,000, but with the amount of semi-traffic we're gonna have through there with salt.
Okay, so the 130 is in the quote?
It is.
Okay, all right.
let me ask you a question. Kevin, when you said you're going to go with metal well houses, now, what kind of strength do these have for wind and that type of thing? How do you anchor them down?
It's a pole barn. It's a pole building, so
So it'll
the pole
be-
will be concreted in, it'll be a slab, and
Okay.
it's just a little, I think, what, 14 by 14 building, just to keep the
It'll
pump.
still be designed with wind loads and snow loads.
Good.
To handle that environment out there. The savings comes from it being a full-type building versus a masonry.
Masonry
block.
building, yeah, I understand, but masonry buildings are
Yeah.
would be a lot more,
But we still assign or give wind loads and snow loads so that the pole barn people are doing it to that same
Good, okay.
quality.
Is there, on the perimeter or exterior of the grounds, is there any, it says something about they are only including seating for lawn areas? Is there any berming, any...
That'll be done after the fact by us.
Okay.
Yeah, the fencing is on Kokosing, the perimeter fencing, and then we'll be berming, possibly planting trees.
I know that was an issue with some of the neighbors.
And I talked to him too, that was the end goal. It wouldn't be done right away, but it would be, it's in the project.
Council members in the back, could you join us just for a couple minutes? There's a pretty big thing we're doing. You can go back and finish that up in a few minutes. Going over Kokosing's agreement for the water plant. Kind of big, yeah. Well, you know, I just want to make sure all the council members are aware of this and that you don't hear it all after the fact. You know, all of the, you know, we had Bowen quote this, and it was exceedingly high. And so we went back to and had Kokosing quote it. And Kevin, you want to kind of just fill them again, how much easier they were to work with and everything?
Yeah, with Bowen, we chose them. It was neck and neck to make the decision between the two for the guaranteed savings. We chose Bowen. Communication with them was hard to come by. I have only had experience with guaranteed savings one time at the wastewater plant, and it was with Kokosing, so I knew how that process went. I talked to them frequently. They're giving different ideas on design changes, different cost savings options. So then when we went with Bowen here, you don't hear from them for a few weeks, so you give them a call. Yeah, we should have a number to you here in a couple weeks. It goes another month and you don't hear from them, so I got to give them a call. Yeah, we got something here by the first of the month. Another month goes by, you don't hear from them. Got to call them again to get any information from them, and then they came back with a price was a lot higher than we hoped. So then we made the decision to go with Kokosing, and Mark can tell you too, it's night and day difference. I talk to them daily, multiple times. They're throwing out ideas on different things where we can save money. So it's just been a whole lot easier to work with, and it's a little more peace of mind with the two because it's a little more open rather than everything behind closed doors.
And while Kokosing has been so much better to work with, their quote still came in over budget.
Higher than we wanted, yes.
And
with that, you know, the contract is just for the water plant, but with the whole bond issue for the Phase 1 included Homestead Drive, High Street, County Road 500, and County Road 600. On 600 North, that's the main going from the plant to the system. So that one has to be done. And then High Street, we're going to do that one in the project too, which later on in the meeting we'll hopefully accept those bids. So for Phase 1, Homestead will not be included, and 500 North will not be included. With the amount of money we bonded for and the price Kokosing came back with, the money's just not there to do those.
And there were two big things, I guess, that added to the cost. One was the hardness that our water came back at. We had to put in a second type of softening system.
Yeah,
That was an extra $1 million that was not expected. And then just kind of a miscommunication error on Phase 2 on the line that runs from Monroe to Byrne, and that had a little bit of a faux pas in it as far as a miscalculation to the tune of about how much was that difference?
we don't know yet, really.
Yeah. And the way that came up, Phase 2 isn't in any of these numbers.
Right.
As we started looking that we were coming in high on Phase 1, we started then looking to Phase 2 to see if there was some money that could free up to cover this, and that's when we noticed on the raw main that looks like we need more footage bit replaced, where we were assuming a rehabilitation of a portion of it and use it some, which was kind of an incorrect assumption at the time. As we started looking at freeing up money, it kind of came to light that, hey, we need to replace all of that raw main down there. So my guess is that could be in the neighborhood of maybe 800,000, taking 80 a foot times about 10,000 feet.
Okay. So, long story short, when we get down to phase 2, there isn't any fat in phase 2 that we can use to pay for phase 1. So thus,
Probably.
Yeah.
There could be with some design changes we're making to the capacity of the plant that could cut the cost of the plant. But it may be a wash too.
in addition, all the well houses, instead of having the contractor build them, we're going to have them done locally, instead of being what were they going to be, framed or block buildings or what?
They're going to be masonry block.
Yeah.
Big masonry building.
Instead, they're now going to be small, like 14 by 14 foot pole barns, saving us some money there. So Kevin and Jeremy and Don, Kurt, they've all been crunching numbers to try to save as much money as they can. But I wanted everyone to know about this before.
So the 7.2, what was the estimate? Why not?
It's right at 7.
So it's 200 over. 250 over.
With all the dust. Now, keep in mind, that's pulling out some of the water main. Also, we're still about 295,000 high.
How much was the two other water mains going?
Homestead was 521, I believe, was a low bid, and 500, I think, was 280.
Won't those pole barns come with more maintenance?
Will they?
Yeah. Should be metal lining.
Access to the pumps, is it the roof hatch, do we can pop them out of the crane or what?
Yeah.
We are calling for a roof patch.
Okay.
So they won't be any more maintenance then?
I don't believe so.
No, in
It's
fact,
just-
Wally, they're going to have the same siding as the main treatment plant building. So architecturally, the main building is coming up block for about 5 feet. It's more of an architectural accent, but it also makes for a nice weight, so that when you're mowing, you're not hitting the metal. But so we're coming up 5 feet masonry on the main building, and then it'll be metal the rest of the way up. So we're using the same gauge metal. It's just going to have the pole structure versus the masonry out there.
Kevin, with the new technology, I'm sure they have it, how are we softening the water now? When you said that our water is hard, which it is, and it's going to cost us more to have it softened, which we need.
Yeah.
To this day, we don't want individuals to go out and buy softener units within their homes. So what is the new technology? What is
Currently, we do ion exchange, which uses salt to soften the
So
water.
this is going to be the salt.
We are going to still use that, but we're also going to use these fluidized bed reactors. They're big tanks that have sand in them, and that helps soften it, raise the acidity. It attracts the hardness to the sand, settles out, and then you pump it out, and then it'll go into the ion exchange, and the salt will soften it the rest of the way down to where people are accustomed to having it.
And the reason we're doing this is because when we drill all of our well fields, when we tested the water, it was much harder than what was expected. So, Mark, you want to...
Your existing well field is somewhere around 500, 550 parts per million of hardness. To get that, some people talk in grains, so take 550 divided by 17 would give you the number of grains. Our goal is to get to 10 grains of soft water. So 10 times 17 is 170. The existing wells are at 550. When we put in the new wells, they're at 730.
Well,
One of the things that we're battling, and we've discussed it in other meetings, is when you regenerate the ion exchange softeners, which an ion exchange softener is the conventional softener like you would buy from Sears, where you use salt to regenerate the media, but you have a waste brine that's discharged into the sewer system. We're battling fluorides, which is brine or salt, at the wastewater plant. We're under an agreed order.
Right.
With that additional hardness, we were going to be putting way too much salt back in to solve the problem at the wastewater plant. So we switched to a technology that doesn't use salt, which is these fluidized bed reactors. The deficiency with those are that they're only about 50 to 60% efficient, so we can knock the 730, our goal is to knock it to 350. And then we're using the normal softeners to take it from 350 to 170. If we could have done it all the way down with the pellet softeners, that'd been fabulous, so we wouldn't have had the extra salt. They just aren't as efficient as a salt softener. The salt could take it from 730 down to 170, it just has too much waste brine.
Too much brine, yeah.
So it forced us to put in a dual softening method to stay in compliance over at the wastewater plant.
Well, I think that was where I was headed,
Yeah.
because I know we have a problem out there also.
Where's our iron at?
No, I forget exactly where the iron loading is.
Our new fields aren't cascading though, are they?
No.
Okay.
No, but what is happening, Craig, and the step up with this new plant, your old plant, Monroe Street down here, only had softeners, only had ion exchange softeners, and we were using those to try to treat the iron. They're not really intended to do that, so your media goes south pretty quick. Now we have specific iron filters, so we soften, we knock it down soft with the pellet softeners, we go through the iron filters, knock our iron down, then we go through the ion exchange, bring it down to the level we want, and then on out to the system. So it's more of a process than what we originally anticipated, but it's going to get you to the level of softness that you desire without using as much salt, and that's the key.
Just curious, are we going to use any chemicals?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have chemical pumps and all
Yeah,
that
in the
built
chemical
in?
rooms, there's caustic soda and CO2.
We have to feed caustic. The way these pellet softeners work, you have to raise your pH up to about, from normal water's around 7.5 pH. We have to take it up to 9.3, 9.5, and that 9 to 9.5 to make it attract the calcium carbonate to the sand. So we feed caustic soda in to raise the pH. Runs through these, it settles out the hardness with the sand. As we exit those, then we have to take CO2, carbon dioxide, to bring the pH from 9.3 or whatever back down to 7.5, which would be normal drinking water. Then it goes through. We toured a couple of these plants in Indiana, taking Bill and Kevin and the guys. We went to Brown County down south. We went to Parkersville, where they had similar units. And to tour and understand and make sure everybody was comfortable with that operation. There are a couple other methods that could do it without salt. One being reverse osmosis,
Yeah,
cost prohibitive.
expensive.
There's another process, and Bill described it best this afternoon. It's kind of a 100-year-old process called lime softening. Any community that has it now is trying to get away from it, and nobody's adding it new. I mentioned a little on the side, I'm doing some work for Bluffton. They have lime softening. They told us when we interviewed down there that if we proposed lime softening, they wouldn't hire us. They want no part of it. So our options were pretty limited. The pellet softeners were really about the only option that could get it down without using salt.
Are we still at 60% pulling from the TS and burnt? What percentage water?
The Winchester plant, yeah.
Okay, and is that water better than what we have out of our own
It is
wells?
a little softer, yes.
Okay.
And we are starting to shift gears now, once the dust settles on phase one, to really start looking hard at phase two and starting to zero in on that cost. That's one of the things we're going to really look hard at now is, do we still need the pellet softeners down there, or can we get by with ion exchange only? So that's going to be the next focus.
So our grain hardness will be 14, 15,
We've got a goal of 10.
10.
10?
Well,
Well, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's what you're seeing right now. So we're trying to stay at that same level.
Okay. Any questions? Like I said, I just wanted everyone to kind of be in on this before we approve Kokosing's contract.
Glad they're better to work with.
Okay, if not,
Any discussion?
What was the other one at, do you know?
Bowen?
Yeah.
7,
7, 8,
7, 8.
right around 7, 8.
Roughly 500,000 more.
And very uncooperative to work with, unresponsive.
There was a little bit of apples and oranges too. That 7, 8 did not include paving, which was about 130,000. So if we would put that in, plus, and this wasn't Bowen's fault, there's some automatic valves that needed to be in the scope at the Pickwood tank to adjust when it's full to shut down, and with the new water coming in. When we started analyzing their costs, we noticed that wasn't in the scope. It's roughly 50,000, so that 50 plus the 130 wasn't in the original scope, where it's in this scope now. And then 7, 8 versus 7, 2, including all that $180,000 scope. So it's about a $600,000 to $800,000 swing. Now, some of that's to Kokosing's credit, because in the initial design, we had the fluidized bed reactors are 26 feet tall. We had lowered those down a couple of feet to try to keep our roof height not as tall. They looked at it and they said, you know, it's more cost effective to build that slab all at one level versus stepping down 2 feet. It's cheaper to go ahead and build the building 2 feet taller. Little things like that from a constructability ultimately allowed us to save some money as they kind of reviewed some of that stuff. That was some of the stuff we accomplished in our back and forth in the last 30 days, trying to pull these numbers together.
Kevin, is all this new technology going to be easier to maintain or harder to maintain? Just curious.
There's more to maintain, there's just more equipment, but I think Bill and Gene are comfortable
With doing it?
with touring those plants. Yeah, there's different options you can do.
The majority of it's going to be similar because you already have pressure coolers at Winchester Street. We're putting pressure coolers here. We do have ion exchange in the new plant. They're used to dealing with the ion exchange. The only difference is the fluidized bed reactors. And there'll be a little bit of a protocol. Well, first of all, they got to, as you settle out, you lose sand, so you waste the sand with the hardness, and then you have to feed sand back in. So there's some additional labor to feed new sand in to keep that process working. Once every couple of years, tank will be taken down and just kind of cleaned out, and any of the excess sand residual that's in there, that's something that you don't currently do. By and large, it's not drastically different, but it is going to be a little bit different.
Well, I know we're not big on chemical additions or additives, so that's probably going to be a new phase.
Those two that I mentioned are new.
Right.
Then we're going to still have chlorine that we do with sodium hypochlorite, which is consistent with what you do right now.
Okay, so long-term maintenance, we're looking at silica sand that we're going to have to add to this new system on a regular basis. Maintenance costs on that, do you have a handle on that yet, Kevin? I mean, is it going to be 30 grand a year?
And it just depends too. One of the plants we toured, he blows it off daily, waste sand. Another guy goes, what, a month or?
About 2 months.
2 months.
Now, they're
before
still
it goes.
using the same quantity of sand. The first guy's blowing off a little bit each day, where the other guy completely wastes his tank out and puts the new sand in. I think there's different strategies. I like the strategy that the guy had on the 2-month basis. He said he noticed when he wasted daily that he was wasting a lot of new sand. He put in new sand and then waste, and when he inspected under a microscope, it not only had new sand, but the calcium carbonate sand. So he felt like he was wasting new sand when he didn't have to. The other guy was getting the full life out of the sand. It would expand up to the size where it settled out, and when it was all, it's almost like, the best way you can describe it, it's almost like when you do macaroni and, you pour the hard macaroni in, you start boiling it, and it starts swelling. Same thing with this sand. You put the fresh micro sand in, as it starts getting that calcium on it, it starts swelling, and they watch in the tank, and as that level starts rising, they know when they get to a certain point, hey, it's time to waste it out and bring in new again. So it's, there's different methods, both aren't wrong, it's just different strategies and how they operate them.
What's done with the waste sand?
It goes out onto a drying bed, so it kind of dewaters it, and then you stockpile it. Most communities get rid of it every 2 to 3 years out of their stockpile. A lot of farmers take it, but...
To put in their soil?
They put it on the soil, yeah. There's different things. We originally suggested using it for sand, for sanding snowy roads, and they said, no good. They said those pellets are pretty spherical when they build up, and it's about like walking on BBs. So they said it really doesn't give you traction, it almost takes away. Now, communities do use it for backfill, so some of this water main work or...
Pipe work.
So,
Jeremy may want to listen to that.
yeah, so on down the road, there will be some bedding and backfill material, sand, that can be used for that. So there is some benefit, and a lot of communities use it, but ultimately, we're going to have to seek out a farmer and some sources of disposal, and that usually happens about every 2 to 3 years.
But there's nothing hazardous about this stuff with the calcium in it, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
There's sand with...
Could you use it for your sandbox if you wanted?
I don't see why not. I don't
It'd be
know.
excellent for bed and pipe for
What do
over the
you
top
think
foot
about
where you're marking a
making a
pipe
sandbox?
you're putting in.
Either that, or we could build a beach somewhere.
Build a beach.
Maybe put it along the river.
Right over here.
That's what I was thinking.
First Street Beach.
There'll be more operational costs with the different chemicals, but then we'll also offset some of that with the,
Because it's a different
we're using
color.
less salt too,
It's not
so
natural.
that'll help out on that cost. So I don't know exactly numbers-wise what the chemicals cost and how often. That'll be something we have to play with too once we get the plant running and see how things work, so.
These pumps are all pretty much off-the-shelf, competitive. You can purchase them anywhere if we need parts and things like that in the plan. It's all standard.
Yeah, and in fact, the way it shook out, we're working with your current pump people that have maintained the Decatur pumps for years.
Okay.
No other comments from the council? You guys can finish the claims if you want. Bill, Craig?
I'll make a motion to continue with Coca Singh Industrial on this water plant.
Have a motion, Bill?
A second.
I have a second from Bill. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we've got the Kekosing confirmed. Moving on to...
And that authorized, that motion also authorized Tim to sign
Can
it.
sign it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
It needs notarized, so do you have your notary seal with you? Okay.
I can bring it. I can come down in the morning.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I didn't know it was notarized. I didn't know that.
It's just another fee, Ken.
Yeah. Okay, where are you going to be signed, Phyllis? Right here? Owner?
Here.
By? No,
Yeah, you put City of Decatur.
City of Decatur,
By
me.
Kenneth Meyer, Mayor.
Yeah.
And then all of that. I guess it's just...
Exactly.
I guess you guys don't.
It's a good story.
I guess they don't need
Right,
that.
they don't-
It's just you.
right.
I'm sorry, I didn't even read it.
Is that okay?
Beautiful.
Okay. Do it again?
Beautiful.
I know one thing, Kevin,
Do you have a stamp down at your place?
Well, you have to use your
what you
expect.
don't...
I've got that on, I've got it on this ordinance, because that has to be
Exactly, there's
recorded.
their name on it.
What's that?
I know when I'm down in
Yeah,
Florida...
mine does, my stamp does, but I can put all of that information on it,
Okay.
because I have it, I can take it off of this, is what I'm saying.
When I go out and walk in the morning and I drink water, and our water here tastes a lot better than their water. Their water has taste.
If we're gonna talk about the taste of our drinking water, I found this really weird, okay? I've never had, in all my 60-some odd years, never had really but anyone comment about the taste of our water. And my aunt passed away here a week ago, and I had family here from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and from Fort Wayne. And at separate times of the day, the one from Fort Wayne came up and says, "Your water here really, it's nasty." I go, "What?" She says, "It tastes nasty." So I bring bottled water with me when I come here. I go, "I've never in all my life had anyone tell me that our water doesn't taste good." That was at the viewing. And the next day at the funeral, I'm sitting at a table with my cousin from Kalamazoo. His wife looks at me and says, "You guys' water's really nasty." I said, "Really?" I said, "I've never had anyone tell me that until yesterday." So to us, it tastes good, but...
They should go down to Florida.
Yeah.
There's some nasty tasting water down
Yeah, I think our water is fine.
It's almost just what you're used to.
Yeah, it's just what you're used to.
County,
They're
the
just
city used to well water, the city water
Yep.
tastes good.
there.
Yep.
Fort Wayne was just won a contest for the best tasting water.
La-dee-da.
And that's river water, so they're doing wonders.
Okay, Kevin, next thing we had down here was to accept the bids for 600 North, which has to be done,
Yes.
and for High Street,
Correct.
since you live on High Street and all, I mean, you know, that's... Those, High Street has to be done.
Yeah.
And then also to decline the bids for Homestead and 500 North.
Correct.
And while we're talking about that, Jeremy and Don, do you have any comments to make about Homestead? Kevin's kind of shared with me a little bit that he's talked to you guys, and you think you might be able to,
Give me another 2 weeks.
and you can come up with what,
I'll present some of the next board work.
Okay.
I've got some proposals out, or some requests for proposals.
okay,
And then that way I have more time to get it down and Kevin and you prior to the meeting, and then we'll discuss a couple options.
okay. So with that, I look for a motion to accept, we're going to do it in two separate motions, accept the bids for the water main extensions on 600 North and on High Street.
With whom?
Watson.
Oh, with Watson, thank you.
With what?
Watson, they were the low bid,
600 North and...
and 500, and
High Street.
600 North and High Street.
And it's with Wasson?
Watson.
Watson.
Yeah.
W-A-T-S-O-N.
Mm-hmm.
The bids are...
High Street was 521, 900. I don't know, was there a change? on that?
521,900 for High Street,
And
and for County Road 600, 284,025.
And this is to put in new
Water main.
water mains?
Need a motion to accept those?
Yes, those two.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is second to accept the bids for the water main extensions on 600 North and High Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion's passed. And then the other would be to decline the bids for Homestead Drive and 500 North.
And I would add, due to lack of funding.
Due to lack of funding.
Decline bids for Homestead Drive and 500 North
Yep.
for lack of funding. Do we need a motion for that?
Yes,
A motion? Make a motion.
that's fine.
I'll have,
Did you second it, Bill?
Yeah, second.
I have a motion and a second that we decline the bids for Homestead and for 500 North main extensions. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And there's Bill.
What did we
or
look
Bill-
at that again?
Craig motioned.
When will we?
Yeah.
Well, what they're gonna look at.
They're gonna
whether we
rebid
can-
it.
You gotta rebid it.
Jeremy said
But
he's gonna
Jeremy's
take a
gonna
peek
look
at
at
it.
Yeah,
it, whether
he-
he can do it in-house.
Right.
Okay.
Homestead.
All right, good.
They're doing wonders out there.
While
Anyway.
on the subject, this is a little bit off the subject, but yet it does relate to the water plant. Carrie is not here tonight, but she wanted to let me know that the IDEM inspector was at the plant last Wednesday, April 10th, for their annual surprise inspection. She said overall he was very pleased to see the work on the clarifiers, and also excited to hear about the city's camera truck purchase. Reading that report that I got in today's email, he didn't sound as excited, but it says, the Decatur wastewater treatment plant is under a compliance plan to meet chlorides by the end of their NPDES permit cycle. This date would be 2/28/2020. The method to meet the chloride limit is to construct a new water plant and employ a different method of softening. It appears the facility will not be built in time to provide a reduction of chlorides into the wastewater treatment plant and the ability of the wastewater treatment plant to meet the monthly average limits. The city is actively removing stormwater from the wastewater treatment plant. And then he went on to say, a televising truck with equipment was recently purchased to help with this removal. So, that's his report. He didn't sound as excited, but Carrie said, he was really excited. And then she also reported that the east sludge beds were cleaned out last week. The sludge is waiting for analysis results before Merrill Brothers can haul it out. There was one bed that contained the sludge from the ferrous chloride tank. When it was tested, it was too high in something I can't pronounce, and it was transported to the Jay County landfill. And then lastly, she said recently Fleming's did some repair work, that was last week, over here at the swirl site of the big blue tank to remedy a leak in the piping that feeds the blue tank. A valve was also installed in the same line to give more flexibility should issues rise again. Carrie couldn't be here tonight, and so she submitted that for me to report. Okay, so that's that.
So did they give us an extension, since we're not gonna be able to meet it right now?
No, not yet.
So
Mark?
we'll request it again.
Bill, what I propose is that we give them an update. We're required to give them an annual update in January, but I think ahead of that, we show them that you've retained a contractor, you're spending $8 million. My gut feeling is they will probably grant you a few months extension, seeing that what you've accomplished and that you're building the new plant. If you were asking for the extension and hadn't even procured a contract or anything, they'd probably say sorry.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm pretty confident, I can prepare a letter for your review, and we can just ask for that extension now. There is a chance that we could be substantially complete then, but probably not. We're more closer to June till we'll be up and operating, June of next year.
Thanks, Mark.
I feel like they'll give us an extension.
I do too.
Well, as long as we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I know we've been fighting this thing for years, and they've not been real friendly.
As long as you're working toward
Right.
your goal, I think they're pretty good about it. They were really good to work with when we asked for the extension on our CSO thing, so. Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Jeremy,
Do a good job.
let's open some bids. Excavation. Tonight we're going to open bids for the excavation or earthwork for Hannah Nutman. And then when we get done with that, we have the utilities, or is it all one?
Utilities and earthwork will be in one, and irrigation will be in the second one.
Okay. Well, first let's make this a matter of record that it was advertised here. If we could, please.
Yeah. Make it a matter of record.
Second. Motion and a second to make this a matter of record. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Phyllis, is this the only bid then, right here? Yeah, look at that. Would you like to have the honors, sir?
Okay, the first bid is submitted for the earthwork and utilities. The bid is submitted by Fleming Excavating, Inc. of Decatur. Bid bond in the amount of 5% of the bid is submitted. The Form 96 is submitted, properly signed. Contractor's total bid, $753,635.17.
Jeremy?
Have to go through the bid just to see what all was included. I know there was a few extra things that were put
What was the total
in
bid?
there that was
$753,635.17.
total project, so we're going to have to look at it and see.
753, 635.
.17. It says contractor total bid items 1 through 30. That makes sense.
1 through 30?
Yep.
There is more in there than what was, we're talking about.
That's the only bid.
We'll just have to break that bid down and see.
Yeah, there's some alternate bids as well submitted.
Take it under advisement.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we take the bid under advisement.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to take a bid under advisement, with Jeremy there. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Here, Jeremy, if you want to take that, then, I guess the next thing then would be the irrigation. And how many quotes we have on that, Phyllis?
3. I believe one did actually quote it, but...
3 envelopes,
Yeah, and these are actual field quotes.
not bids, but quotes.
Irrigation quotes.
This one appears to be empty here. Why would they seal it?
Okay, the next is irrigation quotes. This is first is submitted by Pfister Sprinklers. The base irrigation for turf and landscape areas as per supplied design, $45,000.
Okay.
And Pfister's is out of Roanoke, Indiana.
Another one from Cloudburst.
Second quote is submitted by Cloudburst Lawn Sprinkler Service. Cloudburst Lawn Sprinkler Service. Out of Fort Wayne. The bid is $37,800.
Okay. And the third place that Jeremy asked the quote was from Outdoor Detail, and they were no bid.
Oh, no bid?
No bid on the third place.
No bid was submitted by Outdoor Detail. That was the third company to ask to submit quotes.
I'd make a motion that we take these quotes under advisement. Jeremy Gilbert.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then Jeremy, we got the crack seal quotes. Now, is that something that Phyllis has, or do you have that?
No, I have it here. The last, well, ever since I have been involved with the city, we've used the same, we've solicited the same 2 to 3 crack seal companies annually. Since 2016, Pavement Solutions has honored their square yard price at 44 cents per square yard. I sent the proposals out again this year. I have not heard back from the other two. I got a letter from Pavement Solutions on Friday indicating that they are willing to hold their price again for 2019. The last 2 or 3 years, he's held it well since 16, and we've just went off of that same low price because he's been low
44 cents per lineal yard?
per square yard. So what I'm looking at doing is basically 538 square yard at 23,966.80.
23 what?
23,966.80,
Okay.
which is
23.
far under what I had budgeted for this year, so there's plenty of money there in local road and street.
What was the numbers on that again?
It's 23,966.80.
80?
Yep.
That will basically crack seal
That's the total
everything
for
from
the
east
yardage
of
that he
from the river going east.
That's the price.
The price is 44 cents per square yard.
Per running yard. Per running.
Yeah.
Running yard,
Square pavement, you're gonna do that too, Jeremy? Is it 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old?
5, 7, some of it's a little bit older than that, but
Okay.
it's still stuff you can hold together.
who does that now?
Pavement Solutions.
I'll make a motion to
Milton, Indiana.
accept Pavement Solutions for crack filling.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to go with 44 cents a square yard for Pavement Solutions for a crack seal this year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I may add just a little bit to that and catch maybe like the city hall parking lot and some of the stuff back in here, since we're so much under what we normally do for the year, so.
Because you gotta get paved. Nice touch.
That just needs to be sealed up. It hadn't been paved for 3 years, so almost 5 years.
Lenny, Leonard and Mr. Mahan, if you'd both please come forward. Uncle Mike, as they call him. Formerly known as a Beetle. Used to have a Beetle hairdo and Beetle boots. He gives me the Eastwood. We took applications for a new police officer to replace Deputy Chief Mahan, who's going to leave us the middle of June, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And to get someone hired that can start at that time to get them through all the perf testing, whatever, we wanted to do the application process. Through the process, whereas a couple of years ago we would get as many as 30 or so applicants, this time we got 8. And now the good news is we've had someone call us, was it last week?
Correct.
From another city who's already an officer and been through the academy, so we have a very good candidate in that young man right there. But in addition to that, 8 applicants. Lenny, you want to take it from there?
Sure. One did not show up
For what?
for the physical agility testing.
7
So we
people
had
showed.
7. And then 4 failed push-ups and sit-ups and the run. And then we had 3 remaining left over, and all 3 passed the written test exam.
Plus the one that we've had that's inquired since.
Right now, Detective Wright back there is going through some background checks on all these individuals. And he's also reached out to his resources in Allen County Sheriff's Department, where they're going to offer us again free polygraph testing for these backgrounds. And
Nice.
I believe those polygraph tests, how much are they? 500.
They're going to be free.
They're pretty expensive, so that's a good rapport. We try to help Allen County out too with some of our resources too.
would we want to test the young man that's already an officer as well?
Well, that young man had went through some testing himself, and he passed everything with flying colors.
Okay.
And then when we submit you his information, we also got a letter of recommendation from a Lieutenant Colonel Charles Goad, who gave this guy a thumbs up. This kid is very squared away. But again, we met with him last week. He was very, very interested. In fact, I think he pretty much verbally committed that just give me a date and time, and he wants to come work for Decatur.
And he would move here and everything? You said he's
Moved here.
married?
Yep. His wife is already looking at as a Memorial, possibly to work there. I guess she's in the medical field, so 2-month-old baby. So very, very well young man. Like I said, was in the military, did a service overseas. So he's more than well qualified.
So this evening, are you making a recommendation that we move forward with tightening up with this young man from, I think it's Montpelier, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, Montpelier PD. I wasn't looking for that because I thought maybe we could interview him too,
Okay.
but I think right now, I'm about 99.9% he's going to be our
Best candidate.
man.
And while we still have these other three, and you told me about them, they all sound pretty good.
Yeah.
If everyone knows this or not, but we have 2 of our current police officers who have applied to Fort Wayne as laterals. And there's a good chance that Fort Wayne will take them. So if they do, then we have some names here to
We
work
seem
with.
to give them all good officers. In the last several years, we gave them, 3 good officers, but, that's just their feeling where they wanted to expand their law enforcement career for various reasons. But these 3 individuals here, I would feel comfortable to keep them into the fall. I'm hoping these guys give us some professional courtesy to let us know when they're going to start, so that way we can start making plans ahead too.
Yep.
So we're kind of on a good rapport with them right now, but we'll get to that later, as soon as they give us some information.
Okay. You guys have any questions about the applicants that they got or anything right now?
No, we're going to have more Fort Wayne squad cars sitting in Decatur than we are Decatur cops.
Pretty soon.
Do you want us to make a motion to where if you do decide to hire, you can go ahead?
If that's what, I'm confident this.
Well, our next meeting isn't for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I don't want to lose the young man if you think if he's good. And if you can get him up here inside those next 3 weeks, and I can meet him as well, whatever, a motion from these guys for us to go ahead and proceed might be a good thing.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that if you follow the process, that go ahead and get it done, and we'll leave you signatory rights for signing the officer on between you and the mayor.
Thank you.
I second that, yeah.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, good deal, thanks. Now, Mr. Bright, you want to come up next? Join these 2? How much is, yeah, that's cool. I thought you'd have a suit on tonight, though. I'm a little underdressed again. With Mike leaving, we have to replace Mike we have to have a new deputy chief, and with Mike and Lenny's highly recommendation, I spoke with Chris the other day. Craig sat in on it. Bill refused to interview him. And we have decided that my next appointment for the deputy chief will be Chris Bright. And I'll also announce this at the council meeting, and I'll read a little bit of his personal data at that meeting. We don't need it for this meeting, but try to fluff you up a little bit. There's Chris, but Chris has been with us, what, 25 years? Yep, and he's done a good job. Lenny stressed to me that one of the most important things he needs in a deputy chief is someone that he knows he can work with. And these 2 worked as detectives together for 5 years. And so they know how to work together and they get along well, know how to read each other, and he's no Mike Mann, but by golly, he's...
Oh, wow. Wow. Big shoes.
Big shoes.
Oh, boy.
But no,
We hope he someday becomes, right?
I'll congratulate you now, Chris, and I'll congratulate you again here in about a half an hour after we start the city council meeting. So, all right. You have anything you want to say to the Board of Works, or?
Take your confidence in me, and I'll give you 110%, and the chief's got confidence in me too, and I think we'll do a good job together.
No, you will. Okay,
With that, does the snowball continue? Who,
well, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and I'll talk about that probably at the council for the media's sake, but, he will start kind of shadowing Mike as the deputy chief, and we could appoint someone to detective right away and let them start shadowing him. But rather than doing that, we're going to, he'll continue his detective duties, but it'll also give some of our patrolmen an opportunity to kind of take the bull by the horns and offer to do some more reporting and some more work and detective type work. And we're hoping that from that, over the period of the next month or two, that the right person will step forward for us to promote to that level. Now, that could be someone who's a sergeant, and if so, then we got another domino effect. Or it could be someone from a patrolman to that rank. So, but we're going to give that just a little time and let it see if it kind of works itself out.
I would like to see what happens with the 2 officers, because we need, we have 2 guys going to the academy end of May, so we're going to be short on the road a little bit.
Yep.
We've been helping out during the day. I've been doing some golf cart checks and helping the guys that have been busy too. But if you recall, when Detective Meyer, he retired in December 2010, and then I did not get his spot until July of 2011, due to the fact that because we were shorthanded on day shift. So we're kind of in that same boat right now. But in the meantime, like as we suggested, that we Detective Wright and also Detective Stoltz, they can give some officers some cases to work on. Obviously not the child molesting, the sexual ones.
Right.
Those require a little bit more experience, as Brad and Chris are doing. But some fraud and forgery and things like that. So that'll kind of see how they do on that. Chris and Brad can evaluate them, get back with us, and things like that.
It's always good for you to see the street once in a while.
But I wear my uniform about 3 to 4 times a week, so.
All right. Anybody else have any comments? If not, thank you.
Congratulations, Chris.
We'll do this again at the council meeting. The last thing that I have is kind of a curt / code enforcement officer, Mr. Carbach issue, and that is, we just recently had big trash pickup, and with big trash comes big trash problems.
Sure. It's fine.
And what we're having is people who we have cited in the past back at it again, repeat offenders, if you will. And we'd like to maybe...
What do they do? They go around and pick up stuff. And then it's piled up again. Oh, boy.
You got any pictures in here?
Like on...
So they go around and pick up stuff that people put out for trash and then take it to their house and then...
And then pile it up.
Oh, boy.
Basically, what Sharon has, what you have in front of you is all the nuisance reports and letters that we have sent out since February 7th, 2017. And what's highlighted seem to be the repeat offenders.
Dirt Street, that guy told us he was never doing it again.
Yeah.
Yes, famous last words.
I've also attached
Ooh, I
a
didn't
copy
bring
of the
mine.
ordinance with the penalties. And I understand that up to this point, we keep going out, we keep giving them letters, they'll clean up. But we keep every 3 months, every 6 months, once a year, same people. You guys are paying Bill and myself to go out and babysit the same people over and over again.
Where's that?
That's Elm Street, that's 716.
Not too far from the
That
city garage.
that guy's got junk on his porch, it's just a mess. And, yeah, that's your buddy.
Is that my buddy?
That,
On his backyard's on 200?
no, this
No.
is the guy on,
Look, the garage door's broke.
Isn't he on Meadow Lane?
Meadow Lane. You remember
That's Meadow Lane, that's the house.
This house
That'll come down.
is one that we're gonna get cleared up, or cleaned up.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Eventually, but, yeah, I've been fighting that guy for a long time, and I'm glad that Rod just came, up and stepped up and said, let's get rid of
Is
it.
that the house on this last?
Yep,
Yeah.
the last house on the, before you get to the
That house is
cul-de-sac.
gonna go away?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Meadow Lane,
Is that the Hispanic name?
yeah.
Yeah, Bella's quit.
Yeah, I've had complaints.
Yeah.
And that's
I didn't send him any citations, but,
That's at the corner of Fifth and Marshall.
yeah. That
Now,
house,
again, are we talking about repeat offenders here, or are we just talking?
Well, these are some of the pictures that Bill took. Well,
he's
last
actually,
go-around was,
Mr. Mayor, a repeat, because last year if you go around the back of this house,
Big tarp.
that's where he's got all his stuff sitting. That's the side of the house. There, that's his driveway, or his garage area, and if you go down the side of it...
Is that big trash pickup stuff, or is that stuff
Yeah.
he's had, okay.
Yeah. There's the side of his garage.
Collector.
Where's that?
That's Dirk's.
That's our guy, wasn't it?
That's long, as Matt said. He said up here, he stood up here and
He sat here
told us,
with Joe Myers, the
Yeah,
owner of it,
I'll
and
never-
he told Joe, I'm not doing it
I'm never
anymore.
gonna do this again.
Here we are.
Here he is.
How can we put some real teeth?
Well, that's what, there it is, that's
why
him.
we're
But we
here
did,
tonight.
yeah, we wanna talk about it, kinda get some ideas on
Let's get to the picture out on 200, that's the best one.
My old house, yeah.
That's Dirk's yet, that's long. That's long. That's Schermeyer, that's 1003 Schermeyer there, yeah.
Health department's actually doing that.
That's Schermeyer. That's his backyard.
Schermeyer's one,
That's the backyard.
three,
There's no water standing in his backyard.
That's him. That's him.
Got him in it.
That's a motor in the back, and that's tires, and
transmission.
believe it or not, last year, he had that pretty much cleaned up, that whole area.
Look at his roofing shingles sitting there, it's
Yeah,
been sitting there a while.
yeah, that's been sitting here since last year. That's about the only thing he left last year. And this is all new, all this stuff here.
It looks
The
nice.
tax was a van.
He cut it in half.
It cut the van in half, I don't know what
Storage
he's gonna
shed,
use
I
it
guess, I
for.
don't know.
There's, that's over here, that's the Firestone place. It's out on Nutman.
It looks bad.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it-
well, no, it's not him, it's the house
it's-
next door,
Yeah. House between the empty lot and the corner in the tire dealer.
yeah, that's
11th
Kurt's
Street,
buddy, that's,
Wells.
yeah.
That's it. Trailer's a little stuck.
Yeah, it is, the tongue's clear underground. That's right down the street from,
about
that
two
sits
blocks.
across the street from the church. That's down on, 12th Street there, or 11th Street. That's 11th Street there.
I know whose place that
That's
is.
my buddy. He, believe it or not, he's cleaned up along that fence, he's about halfway back. That's Lowell Thatcher.
All you gotta do is threaten to come in there and clean it up with an excavator and he gets at it. Last year.
That's, her neighbor. That's just back by his garage.
There, that's my neighborhood.
That's the guy across the street from
Zwick Funeral Home.
Zwick Funeral Home.
Can't even get to his front door.
That's his front yard.
Year after year,
front
it looks
porch.
like this.
Now, all these pictures that he's showing us, have you tagged these people yet?
Yeah,
They've
They've been notified.
yeah. The police have...
That's the same house on 2nd Street, that's the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's,
that's 200.
there's 200,
I recognize that.
yeah.
It's gonna get better though, watch it, look at this.
He's cleaned up a bit though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Until big trash pickup,
But
and then
he's
you
gonna
gotta
start in
file the
again.
next day.
Next heavy trash.
Heavy
day.
trash day, that tractor's still there.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, Lenny and I will talk about that.
So,
At the house I grew up.
Mr. Baker, what can we do about repeat offenders? Can we put something in there saying that if, can we draft a ordinance or something or other saying if someone is a repeat offender, the city's gonna come in and take it all out?
You've given them notice if they cleaned it up?
They
or is-
cleaned it up, and
They
then
cleaned
I'll
it
be
up.
back out there again in 6 months.
Believe it or not, 200, that's actually Stratford Court. That's his address.
That's
but
behind his house,
but
yeah.
Behind him, 200. He actually had that all cleaned up at one time, everything. Because we went out, Kurt and I both went out together and talked to him.
heavy trash.
Yeah, every heavy trash that's happened. I get the same people
He
throughout.
collects in between, but nothing like this until heavy trash hits.
Right.
Week ago, probably was bad.
No, no.
Well,
But the day after heavy trash, I drove by there just to see what it looked like, and it was absolutely ridiculous.
The Monday that heavy trash starts is when it starts to accumulate.
yeah. I mean, I think what you do is you give them a notice to abate, you give them so many days to do so. If they don't, then we file suit in court and we have the court impose a daily fine.
I understand that, but how do we stop them? I mean, period. Because that's all we continue to do is keep going back to the same people. It's like handing out Christmas cards every 6 months.
Stop, I mean, it's not the right answer, but you could stop doing heavy trash, right? I don't think we want to do that, but...
No.
Or are we creating, I mean,
You're creating a collector's paradise here is what we're doing. They've found a loophole.
But if we don't do heavy trash pickup, is all this
Exactly.
stuff gonna end up in the ditches in the county?
No,
Exactly.
they'll put out, I mean, that was out in front of someone's house, okay?
On heavy trash day.
Our city crews would have taken that. And granted, we would have paid to dispose of it, okay, so they're saving us money.
But he didn't collect that for city crew to pick it up.
No. Somebody else put it out in front of their house.
He's scrapping it, he's making money.
Yeah, I'm about the only other thing that I can think of that you could do is you could initiate litigation to seek an injunction enjoining him from continuing the practice of every heavy trash pickup day, going around and collecting stuff and then throwing it in the open. I mean, that would be another way to do it. You're not seeking a daily fine for creating a nuisance, but you're seeking a court injunction that says he's prohibited from doing it. And then if he continues to do it despite the court order, you can hold him in contempt, and the court could then impose fines or actually put him in jail for contempt of court.
That means we have to go to court.
You have to go to court to do that.
Well, I told Kurt, this is my last
Rodeo.
go-around.
Your last hurrah?
Rodeo.
Last hurrah. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not going to do it any longer.
Right.
But Kurt's going to hire somebody to do it, which is good. I think code enforcement needs to continue on. I kind of started code enforcement and didn't realize what kind of job it was. And went to a seminar in Carmel, and I was surprised that the cars and vehicles that was in this seminar all had their names of the cities and said code enforcement. And I didn't even know what code enforcement was. But anyway, so I'm glad we're continuing on doing it. But I told Kurt, I said, your guy, Kurt really needs somebody to help him as far as building inspecting more than he needs somebody to go out and take pictures of yards that are a mess. But if you continue to have these people continue to do this stuff, part of the new officer is going to be assigned to do this stuff every year. And somehow we've got to do away with this.
Jerry, come on in.
this repeat.
Can we, I mean, obviously like that's not because of heavy trash day, that's just...
No,
up over
that's his
time.
backyard. These people, honest to God, I went to people that get out of the vehicle and have McDonald's bags and throw the bags on the yard before they even get to the house. I mean, these people live this way. This is...
Across from Zwick's, they just live that way.
Exactly. That's Todd Riley.
Yep.
And I've talked to Todd, and he, believe it or not, he did clean the whole porch off at one time, and he did clean the backyard and everything.
But all those vehicles tagged in his backyard?
Yeah, they're all current.
The guy on 200 though, he does still collect some, it's just, it really gets bad at heavy trash.
I just wonder if, like, on the heavy trash, if we know that they're like him, we know this is a continual problem. If we can discourage it by first, before heavy trash, giving a letter to him saying, we know what you're going to fill this up, you have 1 week to get rid of it. Would that discourage him from collecting in the first place? Maybe not, but...
Well, I told him, I said, next year, we're tired of messing with you. I kind of spoke out loud. You're going to get fined $500. Zap right away, because we're not going to put up with this every year. And he said, well, I won't do it next year because I don't want to get fined. Well, Mr. Long has told us for a year that he's not going to do it. And I guess we're just throwing this out to get some ideas, because we don't have the answer, because as you can see, I've been doing this since 2017 on yards and that. So yeah,
I think historically you have worked very well with these individuals and giving them ample warnings and reminders, and then we bring them in here and we have conversations with them, we give them opportunities. If it's a repeat offender, I mean, I think per our ordinance we have to give them a notice, right? Notice to abate. But after that...
Well, I would actually like to expand this ordinance to an extent. Dealing with Shad Paul over in Huntington, they actually have a building maintenance ordinance to the point where he goes by somebody's house and their downspouts hanging off the roof. He can actually cite them for it. The problem is he had to jump through a lot of red tape and hoops to get that ordinance approved. But he's got it approved.
Give us a copy.
I can get us a copy. I know some people down that used to work at the state level that does consulting that helps to write ordinances like this. And actually at the last state meeting I was at, the person I was talking to told me it's a hard ordinance to get passed through the state, but it can be done. Because right now through town, like this house here, and those shingles are shot.
well, and the roof, if you can look, that's
Yeah,
kind of right.
roof,
The reason I took a
sagging
picture of
and
the
everything
roof.
else, I'm going to be in that house in the near future condemning. The health department's already on this house. And this is just one. I have several houses throughout town. I can drive by and there's a hole in the roof. And at this point right now, I can't do anything about it. I can't step on the property. I can't knock on the door and tell them, hey, you need to fix the roof. All I can do is if I do see them standing out, hey, you really need to fix that. If you don't, there's a good possibility you're going to get structural damage, and then I'm going to have to come in and condemn it. That's all I can do. With the ordinance that Huntington has, he can actually cite them.
Huntington's being very aggressive up there.
You have 10 days to get that hole patched, or, look, you've got 30 days to do something with this roof, or we're going to have to come in and condemn it. You'll have to vacate the premises, and you won't be allowed back on the premises until it's repaired into a structural.
And like you said, I try to work with these people because I like cooperation. I don't like the heavy-handed method of doing it, But we have homes, and that's why I took pictures of that one house that's sitting in the corner of what was it, 5th and Marshall. I just took pictures of it just to show you the looks of the house. That house, the house next door is fantastic looking. It's great shape. Somehow, as a city, to help the neighbors out. I mean, I wouldn't want something like that, a house like that living there next door to me, but, and those people don't either. But we have to do it as a city. We don't have an ordinance for this, but
Look, we do have, the ICC does have a 2012 property maintenance code. I mean, I can cite out of this all day long, but it's open for debate to the right person. If I don't have it covered in my own ordinance.
I would suggest that let's just see if Shad'll share that with you, and Tim can take a look at it. We can all maybe email,
Nobody lives
scan
in
it.
this house right here. Nobody lives there.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
He's there all the time. Matter of fact, we put a...
He started-
Jeremy, isn't that the guy that, when we put a new light pole in his yard, he complained because we put a tire crack in his yard? Serious.
He started working on that porch probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep. When Rory got in his yard to put the new telephone pole, light pole up.
It wasn't even Tom, it was another, somebody who told me separate.
Yeah, it wasn't Tom.
But yeah, he was in City Hall complaining about it.
I think, like Cam said, I think that's probably a reasonable approach, is these people that are repeat offenders, after they clean up, you go
This is
mention it to them, thank you for cleaning up. If it happens again, you're going to court.
Yeah.
You're going to get fined. You'll guarantee you're going to get fined, and guarantee you're going to pay court costs. Something to that effect.
Now, my next question is, according to our ordinance, they have to come from the Board of Works to figure out what the fine's going to be. The way our ordinance, I mean,
We're going after them on a public nuisance. We'll go to court and get an injunction.
okay, because if somebody throws this in my face, what do I tell them?
Tell them that a repeat offender is going to be treated differently than somebody that's a
Is
first
there
time
any way we can
offender.
get that added in here?
Get the ordinance that you're talking about. I want to see what they have in there.
Yeah, get stronger.
Okay. That's all I have on the agenda. Anybody have anything else?
Can I ask you guys a question about this bid?
Yes, please. And also, while Jeremy's coming up here, to the council members that haven't been upstairs lately, you might want to, if you get a chance, go upstairs and take a look around. I think Phyllis is planning on moving when? Next week.
Wow.
Yeah, Jeremy.
On our original bid, the estimate that you can see that Ken's look on his face when...
When my blood pressure went way up, you mean, that one?
There were some extra things figured in this bid that was just kind of thrown back and forth that we do not have to accept. On our expectations of our estimate, it's actually $30,000 lower than our expectation. What he did figure in, though, was part of the road has to come out going to the, if you visualize kind of where the men's diamond is, they're adding up, and a good part of that road has to come out, which we were anticipating taking that out on our own. So that's about $136,000 there. And then they're figuring in some concrete sidewalk that needs to go in for some different reasons, which is fine. That was something where...
That was some of the things down below.
Individual have to pay for anyhow. Some curbing. So that's where you're starting to make up the difference from what we anticipated at $477, and his bid's actually like $442. I'd like to go back and sit down with Greg and look at this number and ask him a few questions about this, and then see if he can just take the deduct off of there, or where that really falls back into play. The biggest thing is they figured in, which we're going to have to do at some point anyhow, is hauling in all the stone for the parking lots.
For the what?
For the parking lots.
Now, on our original bid, you were going to do that with our own crushed stone.
Correct. He has to get a base down, but then he figured in on hauling all the stone in, so that's another thing I can discuss with Greg for a deduction.
Okay. Okay.
So with your permission, I'd like to go back and sit down with Greg and discuss a few of these deductions here.
That's fine, but I have a question. We won't meet again for 3 weeks.
That's the thing.
We need to do like we did earlier this evening, give me the okay to sign off on this if Jeremy comes to an agreement that it is within our parameters.
I talked with Greg yesterday. We talked about this project and a few other ones that's kind of in the pot. And he is looking, as long as we can keep this moving, he wants to start about the third week of June. So if that's the case, we're going to need to get some approvals going and some paperwork going back and forth.
So you would you like the Board of Works to approve me signing off on this if you get it to where you're comfortable? I don't know how you say that with the...
That's fine. I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, motion and a second.
But what we need to do is go back through the totals and
Right.
make sure that everything...
Just wait, did he add things in there that were not spec?
I think he added some things that are on down in here, some concrete areas.
I understand, but what were the big specifications?
Some things that we talked about, they threw some stuff in there and then a few more options or a few more alternates. So that's what I need to go back and talk to him about. There were some handicap areas in there that really don't need to be there right now. There's some other sidewalk areas that we need a portion of it, but we don't need the whole thing.
I guess my question, Jeremy, is when we advertised this, we spec'd out what the scope of the work was, and he bid things in there that were beyond the scope that we advertised.
Yes, a few things.
Okay.
Enough to make up the difference here and what we're...
Well, and some of that you're going to pay at some point. So we need to figure out what is extra and what we can physically, do on our own. So, I can think about $155,000 over there that probably don't need to be there.
Well, Mark, just for the record, our streak continues. It's higher than the estimate.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Yes.
Is there a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a few things. Last year, the Board of Works approved for the firemen to get the same base as the police over a 2-year period. So I need to know if you want to continue that for this year so we can budget it. And then I want council to think about raises, what you want to put in the budget. So we won't meet for 3 weeks, so hopefully you can come up with either a dollar amount or a percentage for next year. What's that?
Already that time?
It's already that
She just
time.
gets done working on one and she has to start working on another.
So,
Okay.
Is Board of Works still okay with doing that base for the firemen? Because that's what you approved last year.
Hire that firm to come in. Did we tell them that it was a 2-year thing?
It was to be figured over a 2-year period.
Over a 2-year period, we were going to get them up to the point of the base of the police.
What, salaries?
Yeah,
Base salary.
base salary.
I think if we said it, we gotta stand by it.
Yeah, I think so also.
Make a motion.
Well, I mean, in discussion here?
No, that's fine. We made a decision, we'll stick with it.
Is that right? Or
So what we'll do is, right now they got half. It was like 2,500 more that the police are making than the firemen. So they got half for this year. And then next year they're going to get probably more than that because
I remember this
whatever you
discussion.
give the policemen this year, or for next year, they have to match that then, for the base. I just want you guys to realize.
So moving forward, every time the police base raises, the fire raises?
No,
It will be the same from now on, if that's what you're approving. That's what I need to know.
By ordinance, I mean, it's gonna be every time, whatever. If we, okay, I'm gonna be brutally honest here.
yeah.
We're losing police officers to Fort Wayne, we're not losing firemen to Fort Wayne, okay? Going down the road, I may want to look at increasing our police officers' pay. Are you saying that by doing this, we increase the police, we gotta increase the fire the same?
That's what you approved last year,
Until we get them up to
up
that.
to the same
It was
pay.
until you get them in.
So they're getting paid right now, but I'm just saying, I'm
But
saying,
in the future, that's...
Could
Well, the base
one or
would
the
stay
other.
the same for now on. Unless you're going to give, for future years, you give a different raise to the policeman compared to the fireman. Then it will
okay,
change.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
so we're okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But have we
Okay.
done any surveys or anything like that for...
Well, that's how we arrived at this last year, was by
arrived.
looking at the Ames salary survey.
Yeah.
And it showed that the base pay for firefighters of municipalities our size all around the state was basically exactly the same as the police. Now,
I wasn't on the Board of Works this time last year. I didn't start
Okay.
until July,
That's fine.
so
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that.
yeah,
I
that's
apologize.
what, that was what we...
No, who was on the board of work?
Ken Collier
Oh, was it?
was on the Board of Works last year. I wasn't on the Board of Works last year to understand what was going on with this.
I was going to say, I didn't think Cam was. I think you were.
Yeah, you were.
I thought you didn't take it up till July.
That was the other year.
Yeah, I think you two were.
There's a short time for us, it's a damn long time for you.
That was a long time.
Well, we explained it. That's fine. We agreed to get the base of the fire department up to the police.
The interesting thing is, now I have data
Unless you're a sergeant.
Yeah.
that disproves that.
But you guys asked it to take place over a 2-year
Two
period.
periods, correct.
So it really has already been passed.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Okay, did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Well, no, she just wants to...
I just want to make
You wanna
sure this
continue.
is going to
We don't need a
continue,
motion.
so I know how to work the budget,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then when we,
Unless,
what I want you to think about is how you want to do raises then for next year.
Right.
Either a flat fee or a percentage.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't really need...
You don't need to do
No, I didn't
anything
think
unless
that.
you don't
We
want
just
that
need
to
to be
happen.
thinking about what was going to happen for the budget of this fall.
okay, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed?